Ladies and gentlemen, coin lovers and treasure hunters, welcome back to the channel. If you thought a penny was only worth 1 cent, think again. Today we're diving deep into the mysterious and mesmerizing world of silver-colored U.S. pennies. Coins that were never meant to exist, but somehow miraculously do. First up, the 1965 Lincoln cent struck on a silver dime planchet. Let's kick off our list with one of the most fascinating mint errors to ever escape the presses. The 1965 Lincoln cent struck on a silver dime planchet. Now in 1965, the U.S. Mint was undergoing a massive shift. Just a year earlier, in 1964, dimes and quarters were still made from 90% silver. But by 1965, due to skyrocketing silver prices, the Mint began switching these coins to copper-nickel-clad compositions. But here's where things get interesting. During this transition, some leftover silver dime blanks, called planchets, remained in the minting machinery. These blanks were supposed to be used only for dimes, but somehow a few ended up in the presses meant for pennies. As a result, a handful of 1965 Lincoln cents were struck not on copper, but on silver-colored dime planchets. They weigh about 2.5 grams, compared to the usual 3.11 grams for a copper cent. They're also slightly smaller in diameter, and often part of the penny design is cut off at the edge, due to the smaller size of the blank. Why is this so special? Because this was an era of transition, and eras like these are extremely rare. Only a tiny number of these coins are known to exist. And if you're lucky enough to find one, expect to see values of $50,000 to $100,000 or more, especially if the coin is in uncirculated or certified condition. Next up, 1943 Lincoln cent struck on a silver dime planchet. At number 4, we stay in the world of misstruck coinage. But this one takes us back to 1943, right in the middle of World War II. In that year, the U.S. Mint stopped using copper for pennies because copper was needed for ammunition and military equipment. Instead, they issued zinc-coated steel cents, those famous shiny steelies you may have seen in coin collections. But here's where it gets wild. A few 1943 pennies weren't struck on steel planchets at all. Some were struck on dime planchets, the same 90% silver blanks used for Roosevelt and Mercury dimes. This resulted in a penny with a silver sheen, struck in silver and totally unique. These era coins are much lighter than normal, usually weighing around 2.5 grams, and often show partial design cuts from the smaller planchet. The rarity, astronomical, the desirability, off the charts. Only a handful have been authenticated by third-party graders like PCGS and NGC. And these coins have sold for $95,000 to $150,000 or more, depending on their condition and origin. If you find a 1943 penny that looks silver, test it carefully. If it doesn't stick to a magnet and weighs around 2.5 grams, you might be looking at an incredible numismatic treasure. Next up, 1974 aluminum penny. Number 3 isn't just an error, it's an experimental ghost of the U.S. Mint's past. Enter the 1974 aluminum cent. Faced with rising copper prices in the early 1970s, the U.S. Mint began experimenting with aluminum as a cheaper alternative for penny production. Roughly 1.5 million 1974 aluminum pennies were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, and samples were distributed to members of Congress for evaluation. The new coins were shiny, lightweight, and looked distinctly different from the traditional brownish-red copper cents Americans were used to. But the experiment didn't last long. Concerns arose. Aluminum coins wouldn't show up well on X-rays, a health risk if swallowed, and vending machines couldn't process them correctly. Public backlash grew. Congress ultimately decided to kill the program, and nearly all of the 1.5 million aluminum cents were destroyed. But not all of them. Roughly a dozen aluminum cents escaped destruction. One was even discovered by the son of a former U.S. Capitol police officer in the 2000s. The Mint later demanded the coin be returned, arguing it was government property. The result, a legal battle that continues to fuel the legend. While ownership is disputed, and these coins are not officially legal to own, experts estimate their value at $0.5 million or more on the open market, if they were ever allowed to be sold. The 1974 aluminum penny remains one of the most mysterious and controversial coins in American history. Next up, 1944 steel penny. At number 2 on our list is a coin so rare and so confusing that many collectors didn't believe it existed, until one sold for nearly $500,000. Let me introduce the 1944 steel cent, the strange twin of the 1943 steely. As we said earlier, 1943 pennies were struck on zinc-coated steel due to wartime copper shortages. In 1944, the mint returned to copper-based planchets, but a few leftover steel blanks from 1943 accidentally got fed into the penny presses, resulting in a coin that should not exist. A 1944 penny made of steel. What makes it so special? It's magnetic. It has the 1944 date. It has the color and look of the earlier steel pennies. And it's extremely rare. Only a few dozen examples are known across all mints. Philadelphia, no mint mark. Denver, D mint mark. San Francisco, S mint mark. The 1944 steel cent is the rarest of the bunch. One of these sold at auction for $0.65 million. If you find a 1944 penny that sticks to a magnet, don't clean it, don't touch it, take it straight to a grading service like PCGS or NGC. It could change your life. Next up, 1943 bronze penny, the Holy Grail. And now number one, the rarest, the most valuable, the coin that defies all odds and sits on a pedestal of myth and fortune. The 1943 bronze cent, also known as the $1 million penny. In 1943, all pennies were supposed to be struck on steel planchets. Copper was reserved for military needs, but somehow a few leftover bronze blanks from 1942 remained in the coin presses and were used, either by accident or oversight, to strike Lincoln cents. The result, a handful of authentic 1940 three-dated Lincoln cents struck on bronze, or what we commonly think of as normal copper planchets. To date, fewer than 20 authentic examples have been certified across all three mints. The crown jewel, the 1940 3D bronze cent, of which only one is known. It was discovered in 1979 and sold in 2010 for a staggering $1.75 million. These coins are not magnetic, and they weigh around 3.11 grams, unlike the lighter 2.7-gram steel cents. If you find a 1943 penny that doesn't stick to a magnet and looks copper, get it authenticated immediately. You could be holding one of the rarest coins ever made in the United States. So there you have it, 5 of the most unbelievable, unexpected, and downright jaw-dropping silver-colored pennies in American coin history. From experimental aluminum coins and minting mix-ups to million-dollar bronze mistakes, these coins prove that even a humble penny can be worth a fortune. So keep searching, keep hunting, and never assume that shiny penny is just pocket change. It might be a treasure in disguise. If you enjoyed this deep dive into rare coins, please hit that like button, subscribe for more in-depth numismatic stories, and let us know in the comments which of these 5 coins blew your mind the most. Thanks for watching.